Take this keyboard that's specifically used in cop cars and ambulances, remove these rubber domes from it, put it on top of your switch, and you can turn this into this. But what's crazy is that the sound isn't even the most important part here and doesn't do this mod justice. It's the feel. I'll explain. Last year, I went to a keyboard meetup in Seattle, and there was your usual. Jelly Epoch, Cyberboard, Sat75, whatever, right? But there was one keyboard in particular that caught my eye. And no, it wasn't Mac Merlin and his cat booty keyboard. It was this. But Tin, that's just a 7B. No, you don't understand. This was the most mind-boggling typing experience I have ever felt. That's because there was this rubber dome that went on top of the switch. Weird, right? Turns out these rubber domes come from a board called the TG3 KBA NBLT. Yep, great name. And they're specifically used in cop cars and ambulances because the rubber membrane prevents damage to the PCB in case of spills. Makes sense. Spilling coffee on your keyboard or laptop if you're a cop in the middle of a car chase is probably not good. This is also why some people refer to this as the cop car keyboard. Back to the rubber domes. These give a crazy and heavy amount of tactility and resistance, but feel soft at the same time when bottoming out. If I had to guess, I would estimate that the domes add 50 or more grams of weight to a switch. Imagine a topre board, but way heavier and more tactile. I don't even like tactile switches, but this changed me. I had to go try this myself. I ended up finding the TG3 board on PCLiquidations.com for $22, and with shipping and taxes, it ended up being around $40 total. Not bad, to be honest. $40 could get you a set of 70 switches depending on the brand. And these are also compatible with all MX switches, so you could reuse these and change the feel of any switch you already have. And the board itself is interesting. It's a 75% layout, comes with Cherry MX Black switches, and even has a mouse pad with left and right clicks. Anyway, let's take this apart. First, take the keycaps off. Next, remove the rubber membrane. It's kind of squeezed tight into the sides, so you have to pull on it a bit. Then grab a pair of scissors and start cutting the sheet into these little squares for each dome. Make sure to cut enough of the size of each square so they don't overlap on each other when placed side by side on the switches. So put the domes on top of the switches. I like doing it row by row. Now for keycaps. This is important. I wouldn't recommend using cherry profile keycaps because there isn't enough space on the inside of the keycap for the dome to fully extend, which reduces the tactility and defeats the whole purpose of this. So you're gonna wanna grab SA or MT3 keycaps, or anything similar with a taller profile. So after the domes are lined up, place the keycaps on top. You may have to wiggle each keycap around to make sure the stems are correctly in place. You can also put the domes on the keycaps first and then place them on the switches. Alright, now we're ready for the sound test. Let's try with both a linear and a tactile. Okay, the most obvious difference is the sound. The domes dampen and reduce the loudness of both Zaku's and Corsa's by a lot. They almost sound like silent switches, except the spacebar. For some reason, the spacebar thocks extra loud. I also want to call out how easy this mod is to do after you've cut out the domes. No need to spend time taking apart every single switch to swap a spring or add a film or do anything crazy. You just plop the dome on top of a switch that's already on your board and stick a keycap on. Boom! If you want to transfer them to another board, just remove the keycaps. You don't even need to remove any switches from your PCB. It's easy and fast. Okay, but now, the feel. This is what we're here for. First, I'll say that the added weight definitely made it harder to type. I was using the stock springs that come with Zaku's and Corsa's, which are 63.5 grams and 60 grams. And combined with the domes, the weight definitely felt like over 100 grams. But maybe it works for some people. If I was to daily drive with the domes, I would probably get 30 to 40 gram springs or something low like that. Maybe even 20 grams. So the Zaku's just straight up turned into heavy tactiles with a big bump. If you're typing on these blindfolded, there's zero chance you would guess that they're linear at all. And the tactile bump and the Corsas were even more pronounced. You can definitely feel that they're more tactile than the Zaku's with the domes. So basically, linears turn into tactiles and tactiles turn into heavier tactiles. But the tactile bump is more drastic and takes a bit of force to press down on. But then the bottom out is super soft, like a silent switch. Here's an attempt at explaining. Imagine pressing down on a linear switch. The force would look like this, right? A straight line. Now imagine a tactile switch. It would go like this, where there's a slight bump at the top of the key press, and then it goes straight down. Well, with the rubber dome, it goes like this, with a huge bump at the top, but then it goes down really softly when it bottoms out. I don't know if you can tell, but it's really hard to explain feel in a video because you're not feeling what I'm feeling. So to further prove my point that these feel insane, I took my Vega with Zaku's and rubber domes back to a keyboard meet, this time in Austin, and got a couple reactions and feedback from others in the community. What do you think?
That's actually kind of badass. I like that a lot. It feels like more solid topre.
This is crazy.
What do you think?
Wild. You know, this is awesome. This is yeah. Did you bring this?
I did bring it.
This is cool.
Like every time I wear it, like
Very firm.
What do you think?
I like it personally as a heavy tactile user. But
Oh yeah?
yeah. Oh, that's real firm.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. Give it a try.
It feels so nice. I found it. Wait, it's actually really nice. How'd you mod this?
It's pretty legit. Those rubber domes.
Wow. That's really cool. So what are they? Like, this is nice. I don't know what they got. Another cameo of me.
And here's what people said in the Discord after the meet. Convinced yet? Let me know in the description what you think of the mod. And what should this be called anyway? The copre mod? The copre mod? Because copre plus topre equals copre? Also comment if you know of any other keyboards that have this rubber membrane. The TG3 can't be the only keyboard out there with this, right? I have more tests coming with these rubber domes, so subscribe and stay tuned. Also, if you're interested, I have another video explaining the differences between Sprit springs. I think aftermarket springs are a really good way to change the feel and sound of your switch.